I guess you could say, people will want that perfection. Certain people will strive for perfection more than others. I think this is a undisputable fact because everyone's different, right? So if everyone's different, therefore everyone has different interests, skills, and work ethic is a form of a skill, I believe. So to be perfect, to strive for perfection, it takes an immense amount of work ethic. The more you strive for perfection, the closer to it you'll get. Is it ever attainable? Well, some companies say nothing's impossible, right? So I'm sure in the past, before airplanes were invented, human beings may never have even fathomed the thought that something like that could exist. But look at where we are today with all the technology that exists. We have cell phones that transmit, radio waves or signals through over immense distances to the other side of the world, and you can make a phone call and speak to somebody else. So it's pretty mind-blowing to reflect on it that way. But the thing is that regarding those topics, I'm just talking about advancement, right? So advancement is important, and it always will be for the future of civilization. If we don't advance, we will perish, right? If we just continue, I think when you look at stuff like they talk about resources and stuff on the planet, there is a finite number of resources, right? So there's a certain amount of trees. Trees give us oxygen by absorbing CO2, carbon dioxide, and humans need oxygen to live. We need water to drink. Let's just say that if we were to just continue to repopulate, yada, 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 and not re-nourish the earth that we are consuming things from. I don't know the exact perfect word for it. Sometimes people know better words than me in certain situations, and they chime in with a different a new word of a vocabulary. So, but resources, right? We're absorbing resources. That's what it is. So taking all these resources, and it needs to be given back, right? Or there will be no future. We got individuals like Elon Musk who work on moving to Mars and things like this, and from what I've read about it or understand about it, is that it's I believe a possibility that if things eventually are going to no longer be on Earth, no longer be habitable, then at a certain point in time, it would make logical sense that we déménage, you could say in French, which means move. We move our stuff to Mars from Earth. So now we're in a different place, right? But I don't think we're there. But the thing is that someone like him is very important, and he's working on things like that. And I think we need more people like that in the world. We need people who push the boundaries. We need people who want to do good things for people. We need people that are positive impacts on people's lives. We don't need people that cause people problems. Everyone causes problems sometimes, right? Based on a confusion of a thought or something. And I think it's important to acknowledge that and understand that, as I go back to, we're not perfect as humans, right? So just because someone makes a mistake, it doesn't mean that you should go like all Dexter on them and fucking just kill all the bad people. But I think, everybody has a breaking point, and we always have to remember that when we're acting, because you never know what the person that you are hurting, that maybe you don't care at the time if you're hurting, you don't know how they're going to react, or you don't know how much it's going to hurt them and to what extent they're going to go to make themselves feel better. Because when somebody treats or somebody harms someone else, they're unempathetic about someone else's feelings. Now you have to go into, from my way of thinking, to go into the conscience of that other person. What does it feel like for that other person, to have been betrayed? It hurts, right? Nobody wants to be betrayed. But as I go back to it, everyone makes mistakes. And I think the optimal solution in situations like that is to admit your mistake, say sorry to the person, and to try to move on from it. And I've always done that. And if other people don't take that route, that's perfectly okay. It gets back to the principal point that I'm making this video, is just to say that everyone's human. And when it's unfortunate in my situation, but I know a lot of you have heard the fits and the, I guess you could say, tantrums that I was throwing about just being betrayed. I don't know how else to put it, but it's true. And it just means that from my new realization that even people who are your parents, if certain opportunities arise or things they think make logical sense, from my perspective is not, they may choose to, but they don't know, right? But they do know to a certain extent, but they don't think deep enough, I think, and analyze the amount of damage or psychological trauma that a betrayal from a family member, somebody who's your blood and your, is hereditary, that's your genetics, turns their back on you or just throws you out in the cold. But I've lived through that, right? And I've had to mentally work through that. And my father kicked me out of the house, or I had $5,000 in my bank account. He borrowed $2,500 from me to construct a new pool. And my father has lent me money in the past. I'm not knocking that, okay? He's lent me $13,000 one time for a court situation that I paid him back in full. And he wanted to borrow $2,500 for a new pool. I said, no problem, Dad. I lent him the money. But then when I suspected an affair with one of my old lovers, and I started to ask questions, and I started to get very bizarre responses. I've went into detail about it on social media before, her looking at me and saying, I did not have an affair with your father. And just for the people that are listening in my presence here in real life, while nodding her head yes. And then my father saying to me, even if something happened before, it's not happening anymore. But continuing to deny the occurrence, like vocally, like with 100% full admittance, like looking at somebody respectfully as a human being in the eyes and saying, look, that I care about you, this is what I did, I'm being truthful with you, I'm appreciating you as a person, I don't, not value you, I don't not care about you, and like what can we do about it? Or like, even my dad used to always say, I don't have any regrets, And to me, that's an absurd statement, right? Because looking at my life, right? Imagine every mistake you've made. How can you logically look at mistakes you've made that have caused you serious, turmoil, or maybe if you're not aware that they have up until this point, or who knows what things are to forecome or arise, right? But to look at those situations and say, yeah, I'm completely okay with how much financial hardship that caused me. And be like, yeah, I would do that the same way. I think that's stupid. Imagine, looking at from my own situation, and anyone can analyze any personal situation they've ever had, just doing a thought experiment of it, and to say, oh yeah, when I lost $9,000, I did that thing with fraud. Yeah, I would do that. I would do that the same way. I would lose a year of my life paying back that debt, to have to work all those hours. I would do it over again. I don't have a regret. It doesn't make sense. So, but that's his viewpoint, right? And everyone's entitled to their viewpoint. So, but yeah, so, I guess we'll just go back to the point where everybody is capable, I think, of anything. Right? So that means that any person you speak to, you don't know what's going on in their mind. I mean, you can judge it socially. You can speak to them, watch their body language, and that comes with practice, right? And kind of see where their thoughts are going. With experience, you get better at it. What they mean by things they say. If they say certain words, but they actually seem to be meaning something else. Why are they meaning that? Wait, should I ask a question about that? Do I care enough to ask a question about that? Okay, I care. Let me ask the question. Okay, they're not answering. How much effort should I put into investigating this and, following this person to discover what it is they mean by that? Do I really care that much? I got my own things to worry about. But, so, with everybody having the potential to have, somebody could be looking you dead in the eyes, saying one thing, and they're thinking something completely different. So, that goes for every single human. And it doesn't matter if it's your father, doesn't matter if it's your mother, doesn't matter if it's your lover. Every single one of them, they can be somewhere else in their mind than you think they are. You can think you know where they are, and then they can tell you where they are. But how do you even consciously, certainly know that what they're saying to you, where they are in their mind, is actually where they are? How do you know that they're not saying that's where they are, but in reality, they are a little bit further to the left, or a little bit further to the right? So, and that comes with experience, right? And practice. The more you converse with people, the more you realize who you can trust, who you can't trust, what that person's like, and then if you care, why that person is the way they are. But all this to say, this huge loop that I just went on, everybody is free to do what they like within the constrictions of the law. And then, I mean, you can go a bit shadier and talk about when you do things that are not legal, when no one else is around to witness a crime, or something immoral, or something that a crime is illegal. So yeah, happening. Then, like, you could still do those things. Are you supposed to? No, but I think everyone works in their best interest, right? So whatever benefits them the most, they go and they do. And so that's what it comes down to, where we all want the best for our lives. And I think of my newfound realization and viewpoint view that when I now look at people this way, that every single person I encounter, regardless if it's a family member, which I'm pretty much alone in my life now. I have relatives and stuff, but certain ones I wouldn't consider relatives. But family, from my point of view, is just people you feel comfortable around, right? You can have somebody that's blood related to you, and if you don't feel comfortable around them, then it's not your family. You should just be around people that you feel good around. If you don't feel good around somebody, you get away from it. So the thing is that with everyone, just having their best interest in mind, then you should understand, and I newly realize that every single person is just acting in their best interest. So if you view humans, men, women, this way, and you just look at them and say, this person just wants what's best for them. They don't care about me. If they grow to like me, they can develop an interest in me, or they can, start to be more caring, you could say, towards me or you. And so I think it's involved with respect, but just from my new view of, and perhaps I would enjoy it if it would help somebody else listening, that they would find useful. If they don't, it's okay. But for me, this has been really like a monumental realization. I think of just being lost a lot of points in my life through losing money and having to run after money to get, kind of to a better place where I wanted to be. And is money everything? No. But does it create comfort? Yes. Does it give you happiness? No. What's more of happiness? Happiness is comfortability. Happiness is, being good with yourself. If you're good in your own mind, then I guess you could say you're happy. If you're comfortable being alone and you don't feel lonely, or you don't feel out of place, then that's a good sign. And I think I'm there in my life. So when, and I thank my job for that. I really appreciate my current employment. I've worked very hard to get where I am in my life, just having the flexibility to choose when I want to work and things like that. I mean, to me, that is invaluable, to be able to wake up in the morning, and if you don't feel good that day, you can just go back to sleep. Or if you don't, if If you want to just watch videos that day, you can watch videos that day. If you want to just eat food that day, you can eat food. You don't have to wake up in the morning constantly and say, I got to go to work at 9. You know? Like, and I think that if you're able to do that in your life, you're going to find yourself a lot more liberated. You're going to have the freedom of expression to be who you want to be without the constraints of constantly having an employer, which you need money to live, that you have a job and you're happy about that. Maybe you don't like your job, maybe you like your job, but either way you have a job, which is better than nothing. So, but you still feel the stress of having a scheduled like work flow. And if you love your job, that doesn't bother you, right? Because if you really love your job, then you're kind of actually excited to wake up, I would imagine, right? In the morning, like you say, oh my God, I'm gonna go work on spaceships at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and I'm so happy that I'm, going to be designing this rocket, and oh my goodness, it's so complex, and there's so many details, and it's so interesting, and I love it so much, and I'm having so much fun. I'm so excited. So things like that is good about work, right? If you have a job where you're on a scheduled work, you work 9 to 5 or whatever, how many hours you work a week, it's all up to your own discretion and your own decision. But if you wake up with a job like that and you're always excited to go learn or whatever it is you do that you enjoy, then that is wonderful. And I think that's something that each individual should strive towards. So with those sort of things, I believe that with work, which everyone needs to do to pay their bills, that it's a beautiful thing. And be the person that makes you happy. Be the person you like. I respect all people. I give every single person I meet the benefit of the doubt before they break my trust. And I think it's important to always keep the goal in mind. And the goal of this video was to speak to the listeners and simply talk about just realizing that everyone has the potential to do anything, and never underestimate somebody. Never overestimate somebody. Don't put pressure on somebody that is unmerited. You just be kind. As much as you can be. So I wish you all a good day. And I thank anyone who's listened. I love you. Peace.